Comet.
Let me show you what I'm thinking right now. So these brackets are going to go on the square tubing. The square tubing, I'm going to put some 1/4-inch plate on this frame rail. The square tubing is going to notch into that. But you see I've got a nice angle here, and I kind of want this perpendicular with a, parallel, perpendicular to the ground. It's got to be like that. So if I come out, about that far, we'll get a little bit more room. But yeah, I'm thinking that I want to put, and let's grab my marker, because I got a marker finally. All I have to do is mock this up on one side, and the other side I'm just going to mirror it. So anyways, if we do it something like this, the square tube is going to be somewhere like that. Alright, so it should be fine. It's inside the frame rail, and it's going to go into the 1/4-inch. So, and if I bring it out into this notched out area, these brake lines are going to have to get relocated, obviously, no big deal there. This is going to come across, and it's going to be right up here, and depending on what angle I have this, it's probably going to be interfering with my axle, especially when this thing travels up. So assuming I don't have to raise that any, I will have to do something to bring the tube around it, but I'm going to put the tube in for the square bar, I'll call it a tube, first, and we'll go from there. What I've got is some poster board, and I want to mock it up so that I cut a piece that comes roughly from about down here to at least up here. And then I'll have to clean all this metal with my flap disc so that I can weld to it. And then on a 1/4-inch plate that matches this really well, I'll drill some spots in it so that we can through weld it, and we'll weld it all around the seam. And we'll have this square cut out already so that the square tube can just notch into that. Same on the other side. The other side's going to be it's going to be the same piece of metal cut out, exactly the same. So that'll work out nicely. So I've got some scissors so I can just start cutting the poster board right away. Design idea or anything else. All right, so let's say we come up to at least the top of this. So we'll cut from there to there, and then out here we'll start turning that way. Okay, so let's see what I can do by cutting that out. Yep, that does work. Let's cut out a little bit more right here. Oh man, kind of straight line to save my life. Okay, so there's that. That'll at least work mostly that way. What I'd like to do is, I do have a magnet. Okay, so there's a magnet. I'm gonna go draw on the back of this. Alright, so, yep. Okay, cool. Now let's go back over there and pull it out so I can see it. Alright, so, got a nice line on the back. Show you that. There you go. Cut this with the scissors and we'll see how we do. There's that. So, I like it. I could come up more and do more of that there. I don't know. I want to have room to weld on top of it, really. So, yeah, that's good. And then we got this hole, which was for the leaf shackle. I can always put a bolt through that, at least to hold it in place while I'm getting things ready. That'd be nice. So let's go transfer this to metal and see about cutting that out. This is my plate, 1/4-inch steel plate. So if we do something like that, that'll require the least cutting. So yeah, let's do this. That actually works quite well. So we're going to go from there, and we're just gonna, there we go, and the bottom of it, I imagine I'm going to be able to see this just fine with my welder. And I'm going to cut just inside these lines. This will be a spare piece, and then pretty much the next one will be a lot like that. We'll see how that goes. Let's get it right up to the edge of that. We'll cut the first one first, and we'll go from there. It's going to be loud and long because it's 1/4-inch. I'll put something under it so it's up off the floor and I'm not cutting into concrete and wasting my cutoff discs. And let's see if I block the view of this while I'm cutting, and you'll get the idea. So I'm going to cut off this corner first, and then I'll come back for that one. I think it's time to change that disc. Alrighty. Alright, there's that piece. I'm going to follow this line, and I got the piece that I need. Boy, that one was jumping and bucking. Whew. Let's clean up this edge. Yeah, that was good for it. Anyways, here's our first piece. Here's a template. Good deal. It's a little bit taller here, a little bit longer back here. I can get rid of either of those if I need to. So I'm going to crawl under there. I'm going to try it on the side that I drew it for. And then I'm going to pull it to the other side and confirm that that's the same, just reversed. And we can cut another one of these out. Yes, something like that actually. That's how we'll do this one. Yeah, like round that corner off, cut that little bit off, and then I've got one big cut to make. So this one will be a lot easier actually. Anyways, and I'll have some spare steel laying around for other projects. Well, all right, test fit looks perfect. It's the joy of using a piece of paper to mock it up. And yeah, now my marker that's covered in steel dust. There we go. And there's that. We're gonna come up this way, and we're gonna come around this way. I will admit that these black lines on this dark gray steel are not easy to see while you're grinding, but it is what it is. So we're going to start with the easy one right here to get this winger off here. Then we'll come down here and do this little one. Then I'll do this straight one, and we'll work on the curve. Once we have two identical pieces, yep, that's what we'll have here. It's two identical pieces. I will work on notching. So we're gonna have a notch something like that on both of these. for the square tube. So it's gonna, what I'm thinking is I'm gonna draw it on there. It might be a little bit higher than I drew it, but you know, whatever. And I'm gonna drill, I'm gonna figure out the radius of this and probably drill 4 corner holes in the right spots. And yeah, then I could just cut between the drill holes, which will be pretty easy. And since these are exact mirrors of each other, as long as I weld them in the same spot on both sides, which shouldn't be too hard with the one locator bolt hole that I've got, that'll put that thing perfectly true. Yeah, it's gonna work out really well. So, all right, so I got this cut. They're both pretty well identical now. Minor variations, but you know, it'll do. But the problem I'm having is this thing is going to leave almost no metal behind, so that sucks. But this is drawn around the outside, so there'll be a little bit, you know, 1/4 inch maybe on each of these. That's just what it's going to have to be. So I got to figure out, I'm going to clamp these two together and drill the holes through both of them at the same time, which will take a while, but yeah, I think that's the way to go. So I got to figure out what size drill bit I want to use to mimic this corner, and then I'll cut between them, and this will notch into there. This is also very rusty, so it'll get a little bit slimmer, so definitely going to notch on the inboard side of this a fair bit. But yeah, let's see what we get. All right, let's see where we're at. You can see my box I drew on there. Drilled those holes out to just about 1/2 inch, and I'm going to connect the top of these together, and we'll go until we'll probably have to be doing some grinding on this. I got a carbide bit I think I can use if I have to, until that fits in there. So we'll see what we get.
All right, I just got done grinding that. I used a flat disc on my grinder to get down to bare metal. As you can see, the metal's great. It's just dust and mud on it. So, like I said, the bones of this car are really not as bad as some of the parts of the car will make you think. The bones are fine. Okay, I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna block most of the view, and I'm gonna fast forward through most of it. But I gotta shoot video of something, so. And it's kind of dark, so that too. Alright. Man, that's a lot of work. But yeah, I got it down to the middle. It just goes just past here, so right about there. I cleaned up some of the metal up above so I can weld along that elbow. It stopped somewhere about here. And I cleaned up around this corner so I can weld a bead right here. Yeah, you can actually see it better on camera than I can while I'm grinding it. Actually, the sparks lighted it up so I can see it a little better. But yeah, up to there. Got that upper flap around the elbow or the corner of that metal. Yeah. I'm about halfway through this, but I figured I'd go ahead and turn on the camera. I'm just getting rust off this 2-inch square tube. Alright. I'm just going to give it a light coating of Mercury primer. Just got something on it. Good deal. Okay. That's all I need. Just the dusting. And after this is all welded up, I can go under there with some black paint. Oh, this side's got some deeper rust fitting, so I'll hit that again. Okay. Excellent. Let's have a look. Zoom out. There we go. So there's the bar. It's the right length. We'll lift it in place and start welding here shortly. All right. I'm going to start staging everything, and we'll get under here and start tacking it in. Now, one of these holes does line up with my plates, so I'm going to put a bolt in that hole. Hopefully I can find one that works, and that'll hold the plate up there while we get everything else in place. So this is going to be tight and interesting and a pain in the ass all at the same time. I'm thinking I'm going to use the jack to hold the 2-inch bar up when I'm ready to put it in place. So we'll see how that goes. Let's try that one. So, that one. So it's going to go something like that. As you can see, it's a little bit bent. That'll do. Get my vice grips down here, or clamps or something to hold this all down. This bolt is not long enough. I mean, I can almost get a nut on the back of it. Okay, so that's how that one's going to look. I don't know how well the camera's picking this one up. Let's rotate the camera some. There you go. I assume you can see it now. So I should have come under here. Oh, there, that holds it. But I'm going to go get some clamps. All right. I've used this clamp for welding before. So all these other holes are fillet welds. I'm just going to fill them with weld. And you can see I didn't quite go far enough back here, but I'm not too concerned. It'll weld fine. So I want this down as much as possible so that I can get a good weld up there. The pipe will come through here. We'll call it a pipe. Whatever. All right. There we go. There's this one. And I should be able to come up with another clamp to hold this one. And then, well, before I tack anything, I need to get the pipe in here and I need to get it square to the ground. That's actually going to set that. And since it's such a tight fit. So let me grab the pipe and get it up on the jack. There we go. Hopefully I don't drop this on my camera. Gotta maintain a good balance. All right. Good deal. Oh, there went my camera. All right. Let's see if I can get this. Oh, man. Your hole. And you're into your hole. Okay. This brake line is definitely in the way at this point. Jeez. There we go. That's how good the brake lines are on this thing. But I want to keep this bracket here. Probably. I might point it up higher or something, but all right, finally, yes. Now let's get my level. We'll make sure it's level to the ground,
which the car is, and level to the front and back. I think the front is like a degree higher, but I'm not really going to sweat that much. And we'll go from there. Okay, let's get my level and see. It took me a while to figure out where to put my level. I stuck it to the underside of the car because that's a great place for it. It took me forever to find it. Pretty much had to backtrack through my memory. Alright, so let's point that way. Okay. Okay, that's level. And 81. Nope, that's the wrong way. 79, 80 and a half. Actually, 82, 80. So 81 with a slope towards the front, 81 and a half. That's about where I want it. And side to side, 0.85, 0.9. Okay, so this side needs to come down. Let's loosen you a little bit. Okay, 0.9. Come on. There. Says it's level. Are you sure? So your final answer. 0.4. 0.2. This freaking level. 0. You say you're 0. Okay, I'm gonna trust you because that's the answer I want. Yep, still 0 level. And 82. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay with it pointing a little bit down because the front, no, it's, yeah, it's pointing a little bit up according to this. Okay, cool. Somebody remember where I parked this, okay? I'm just gonna, honestly, I'm just gonna stick it right here on the flange of the rear end. Now I need to get under here and I need to do some tacking. I need to pull that flat first, and then I can do this. So got a little bit of room. I'm gonna find another clamp and clamp that, and then I'm gonna fire up the welder. Yahoo! That's all I get there. Where can I put you? Suppose I could put it right there. Well, I don't know. We'll probably put it there actually. But first, well, once I get it tacked to the car, it'll be easier. And I didn't clear this up enough, but I'll just have to weld through that little bit of rust right there. It'll be fine. Whoa, whoa. Keep my pinion where it belongs. Come on, stay there. Jeez. Another Comet. Oh, brilliant. I'm so glad you could pay so much money for this one. Oh, I've used this oil filter wrench as a clamp before. It actually works pretty well. There you go. Cool. Now, put my clamp on here. I'm at 69 amps. Actually, I want to turn that up to about 75. I don't know. This frame rail is not near as thick as this 1/4 inch, but we'll see what we can get away with. I'm gonna get a tack. I'm gonna run a little bead right here. And I'm gonna come over to the other side and do the same. So, all right. I sure hope that gives me enough ground. Maybe I should ground it here. Yeah. That'll have to do. Now let me go get my helmet, my gloves. Work some magic in here. And my pliers so I can cut that tip off. Oh. Alrighty, here goes. Got that tip off there, good. Weld through primer, don't screw with me. First real weld with a new machine, first time doing gas on a real application. Whoops. Alright, that was probably for the best because I want to get the air purged. I thought if you pull it to the first spot on the trigger, it only flows gas. And the second spot gives you gas and feed. But apparently not, or I've got the settings wrong. I need to read the manual. I don't know. Oh wow, and I'm burning right through that frame rail. That's a better weld. Good grief, that was bad. Okay, so I have to have my nozzle way up in it, which I'm not used to, but makes sense. Alright, so yeah, my welding skills have not improved, but here's where we're at. I gotta fill in all those holes with weld. I gotta come across the top. Got, a couple inches on the bottom here. And then I gotta figure out how to get to the top up there. I gotta clean off the rust, I guess. I'll use a wire brush for it. Because that one spot I couldn't get with my flap disc is really causing a problem because I've been trying to weld here. So this is the other side. And yeah, same deal over here. And I didn't go far enough back with the flap disc, so I'll hit that with a wire brush too. I still need to get some more around here. And I should be able to get the stick up there for the top, but it's going to be hard to see. So my bad welding will be even worse over there. So that bit of welding I'm happy with, but it's just so bad. This is my first time using gas, and my valve on my tank is freezing up. So I'm pausing while I ask around and figure out what I'm doing wrong there. So, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if it's the weld through primer that I got that's causing so much issue, or
because, you know, when I did my test weld with this welder, it did so well. I was just amazed. And now I'm just, but I'm just ramming my way through it. It'll get done. And, yeah, just get her done. And once this is done, I can start working on the links. But that's probably going to be a tomorrow. That's certainly going to be a tomorrow thing, is the links. Today's Saturday. I don't have enough time left to do anything more than find out what's up with my freezing valve and finish this. And tomorrow I'll come back and cut the links to length, and I've still got to grind it for the right diameter on this. So I'll plug in my bench grinder, and I'm just going to grind them bigger, and then we can weld the links here, or the brackets here, and run the links. So cool. What I'm going to be doing here is making spacers so that I can weld these the exact right distance apart. And it just occurs to me that before I do that, I need to get all this paint off here and bevel these edges a little bit. So let me suit up for that, and we'll come back when I'm done with that. Now that I've got those all cleaned up and ready to weld, I just need to assemble them one pair at a time, I guess. So bolts have come up. Apparently I have two choices for where to locate them, but I'll just go with that for now. I need a spacer so that they don't weld too close to each other. And then I want to wrap this with painter's tape so that it doesn't destroy the ball joint. So just something simple so the splatter doesn't get into the ball joint. Like that. You see? And then we'll just punch it through. There. There we go. Perfect. Now, we just put the other half on, and we're going to run the bolts down. And because they're nylocks, I'm going to have to use the impact gun to get these the rest of the way down. This will square them up and everything, so that's handy. Oops. Helps if I hold on to the wrench while I do this. Okay, so welding the inside of this is going to be problematic, but whatever. So, boy, that warmed up these bolts. Anyways, so this is going to be the side that's going towards the frame rail. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to remove the bolt. If I put this up against the frame rail, I'm going to have to drill a big hole in the frame rail to get this out. So anyways, this is going to be the passenger side, or I could flip it and make it the driver's side. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, I'm going to put tape on these threads so they don't get slag on them either. And I just get under there and buzz these in place. This side's going to be close to the frame rail, so it's also going to be hard to weld. Whatever. I'll show you the problem we're having. I tried to get this up here, and I've still got about a finger's width from the bar because this top is hitting here. I tried to aim that properly, but I also, just had to deal with the fact that I ran out of frame rail down here. So the farther back I go, the farther up I go. So at some point, I just had to settle for it. If this doesn't do it, I'll just cut it out. All right, let's see how that fits. Oh, perfect. All the way in, nice and square. Yep. And yeah, that's about how far it has to be from that end. Cool. So my tubes are going to be fairly short coming to this axle, but it is what it is. I think I'll use the upper hole for the lower one so it's more parallel at right height. And we'll see what we do about the top one. But anyways,
let's get my welding mask and start attaching this. Here goes. All right, we're gonna take these bolts out, get that joint off there. There's the bolt. Trying not to burn myself on these things. Washer was a good idea. All right, so those are out of there. Now I can do it again on the other side. Woo-wee! And let things cool a little bit. And that's that. I'm gonna do a lot more welding. I gotta do the top, I gotta do the insides. I got a little bit on the inside, but not much. I could definitely do the bottom inside, but the top is gonna be a real chore, and if I don't do it, it's gonna leave a massive weak point that I definitely want to fix. So we're doing well. The next bit we got to do is these. They're 3-inch radius, 3-inch diameter openings here, and I got 3.5-inch pipe. So what I'm going to do is just bolt these together. I need a couple washers, but yeah, I'll bolt them together, and we will go in there and grind them evenly with each other. So, poor man's washer. There we go. Yeah, that gets us up where we need to be. So, let me impact gun these, and then we'll take them over to the bench grinder. And I'll just start by, opening up the edges, and we'll compare it to the pipe, and we'll just keep going until we get it right. Ideally, I would have a 3.5-inch circle that I could just scribe where I need to go from the bottom of this circle. But I don't. There we go. Yep, that'll do. Alrighty, let's see what I can do. One of these is rougher. I think it's this one. Okay. It didn't take much, but that'll work. I'll fill any excess with weld, but yeah, it turned out just fine. Still got to come through and grind it up and bevel it and stuff. So yeah, but I'm happy with that. They're all the same now because they're all clamped together. And the next thing I got to do is I've got to take my tape measure, and I've got to measure that frame, that one's mount, the passenger side and the driver's side mount on that square tube. And that's how far I'm going to make them apart on the back of this. So I just, measure the distance from backing plate to backing plate, find center, and this will be pretty easy. So from that plate to this plate is 28 3/8. So inside to inside wall, it's 28 3/8. I'm gonna write that down. Let me show you what I'm working on. Okay, 28 3/8. So let's measure plate to plate to figure out where that's gonna fit in between those. Just gonna suck not doing it in metric. Doing this with a tape measure, oh, it's stupid too. 51 inches. Precisely 51 inches. At least that's simple. Okay, so we're gonna draw the wheels and the backing plate. Backing plate. .51 inches. So 22 5/8. 22 5/8. less than 51. And then we divide that in half, and we'll get 11 and 10 sixteenths, 5 sixteenths. 11 and 5 sixteenths from here to the mounts. The outside edge of the mount that's going to line up with that mount. So, somebody check my math because I'm about to weld this permanently. I do have to grind the paint off these tubes. These I won't have to clamp together because I will be welding them fairly separately, at least the inner ones, and then the outer ones I suppose I can clamp. I will have to clamp them to be able to do what I need to do on those. So let me show you my math. The bars inside to inside on the square tubing, it is 28 3/8. My axle is 51 inches plate to plate. So if I subtract 28 3/8 from 51, I get 22 and 5/8. I'm going to go use a calculator and confirm all this. So that means that from this plate to the outside edge of that plate will be 11 and 5 sixteenths on both sides. It should line up with that. I'll visually confirm. And then I will be using my my level. I'm gonna get the pinion angle set right, and we're gonna level them with the ground. All right, copyright music is off. I measure things, and we're not far from welding. All right, so 11 and 5 sixteenths. So that's 10. So we come quite a bit farther this way. Might have to do some more grinding, actually. Let's get this all squared up. That's not square at all. Come on. 89. Okay, that's 90 degrees. Okay, so that's square. And then this angle does not like that. Okay. 88. 89. 90. Right there. Almost. There we go. 90 right there. Welded in place. Let's tape measure. Probably in the wrong spot still. 11. Precisely 11 and 5 sixteenths. Boy, that couldn't be more spot on if I was. Yeah. Well, I need the light behind me, not in front of me. That's a good tack. It's an ugly tack, but it's a good tack. Okay, so let's do one at the top so it stays square. Oh, that's hard to see. That's my excuse. All right. Yeah, that's a tack. All right. Taka. All right. screwed up. Let me show you what I did wrong. So the distance between these two that I was trying to match is 28.5. Let's just go from the inside really, because that's what's going to matter. It's 29. 29 from inside to inside. And this one, oops, let me do it somewhere where a tape measure will actually reach, is about 28 7/8. No, 15 16ths. 28 15 16ths. Anyways, I did a bunch of math, and the distance, so it's wrong. It's not right. It's about an inch off. I can make spacers do just shy of half an inch spacer on each side before I weld the next plate on, and it'll put them back in line with where they need to be. So it's equivalent to about 4 washers. So it's going to be fine. I just got to cut the spacers. I've got my calipers out, and I'm going to measure it flawlessly this time. And maybe I'll cut them a little bit long and take them to the bench grinder to fine tune them. But yeah, so that was a screw up, but it's recoverable because I am measuring as I go. It's just I welded the ever-loving snot out of these before thinking, hey, let's make sure these are in the right spot. They're not. It's probably why I had to grind inward on both of these a lot farther than I originally expected. Oh well, at least I caught it somewhere along the way, because 4 washer spacer is, you know, less than half an inch. It's a little bit more than 3/8 on each side to get them back out the almost inch that I need. So anyways, this is why we can't have nice things. So I made my spacers. They're not great, but they'll do. Like this one actually needs to be ground out a little bit. But anyways, here's two of the better ones. And as you can see, it's just going to offset these a little bit. I still got the washers in here. These aren't the ones that I'm welding on, because obviously I've already got one piece on each side welded. But this is just to visualize it outside the car. So it's just going to offset it so it's in line with the frame. And the back end will just have to have that spacer. Not a big deal. At least I caught it before I welded the second piece on, and then would have had to have these things like, you know, maxing out their the ball joints, which don't have a whole lot of move. They've got that much. So, I mean, it probably would have worked, but the whole thing about parallel 4-link is it's supposed to be parallel, and yeah, don't need to go screwing that up. So anyways, there we go. I'm going to get under the car and bolt at least one of these in. And by the way, nylox, some people say not to even use them twice, but needless to say, once you've welded near them and gotten them crazy hot, the nylon goes away, and these are just normal nuts now. So I will have to keep these flagged and set aside so that I can replace them. Now, let's get the friggin' tape measure and see if I finally got this right. So, from edge to edge, 29 15/16. Edge to edge, 31. Oh, yeah. 31. 31. Okay, perfect. Yep, this is fine. Got my spacers figured out. The math worked. I panicked for a second and thought I screwed it up some more, but, you know, twice bitten. Once bitten, twice shy, something like that. Yeah. Just gotta turn my gas on, put my helmet and gloves on, and just freaking zap this. There we go. Cool. So I was reviewing the footage
that I made while I was installing the 2-inch bar, and realized I set that to 80 degrees instead of 90 degrees, or 82 instead of 92 or whatever. So I seriously screwed that up. And I got so much freaking weld on there now. I'm not taking it back off. It is what it is. I can't believe I screwed that up so bad. So my parallel bars are not going to be parallel per se, which is really unfortunate. It also explains why I had to beat the floor to get that thing to fit. I shouldn't have needed to. So, oops. Man, this is why I can't have nice things. Anyways, I'm gonna make the bars the length they have to be, and if it's terrible and can't be worked with, then I'm just gonna eventually have to get under here and change it. But we'll see how bad it is. But yeah, we'll just cut the bars and put them in and see where we end up. It sucks. The first thing I gotta do is I'm gonna put the ball joints, the heim joints, in each end so I can measure and the length between them, and we'll reduce that a little bit based on how much they thread out, so we can put it in about the middle of the thread range. We'll also make real sure that we got this at the right angle before we measure it. So I'll bring that jack stand back and get my level on here. And man, I cannot believe I messed that bar up so much. I lost sleep over it last night, honestly. I double checked a bunch of videos to make sure, because I don't know what I'm doing. I just follow videos. What I really should have done is, for one, had that at 90 degrees so that I get even, and then roughly figured out the length, or well, pretty much figured out the length from there to here before I welded these on. Then put the bars in and get them set to their all the exact same length, and then tack these in place before welding them up. That way they're perfectly parallel to each other. At this point, there's really nothing I can do to solve this. I'm just going to have unequal length bars, which is not what you want when you're trying to, achieve perfect up and down. Keep this thing perpendicular the way you want it. But since this car isn't going to have a ton of suspension travel, it may not be that big a deal to me. It's not like I've got a 4x4 truck, or I'm not even on airbags. So it's going to be one static ride height, so it might just be fine as long as this is ride height when I'm ready to go. It'll be pointing the right way. And I don't know what this is going to do for my anti-squat characteristics. It might make it a lot worse, in which case this thing will squat like nobody's business. We'll see. I don't know. There's a lot to know. I just, problem of not knowing what you're doing and just trying to fake it. Oh, I'm so ashamed. Just over 2 degrees, so 2.4 degrees. And from the top of this one to the top of that one is exactly 12.5 inches on both sides. So that should be square, since I cut these holes on both sides at the same time and referenced this hole. So sorry, I'm all upside down right now. Anyways, yeah, so let's get those joints, heim joints in there, and see what the length should be. So the upper pipe needs to be about 8 inches. The lower pipe should be about 7. I'm going to take about 1 inch off of each of those to allow for adjustment, because I got a little over 1 inch of adjustment on each end. Yeah, a little over 1 inch at each end. So put that in the middle, take 1 inch off the pipes. Hopefully that works out. Alright, those are my 2 lower ones. They're 6.25 inches. So I decided, rather than do the full 1 inch, I'd leave myself a little extra thread. So just 6.25, and the upper is going to be 8. So this was all one rod originally. So I am way shorter than it was originally intended to be. Here's my very, very stumpy rods. I don't know how well this is going to work, but that's why we can't have nice things. Anyways, I taped them up. I figured out which ones are left thread and right thread. So actually there's a groove on the left-handed thread ones, and they're smooth on the right-handed thread ones. This last one was for a, what do you call it? Not Heim joint, but, or not Watts link, but panhard bar. Yeah, single panhard bar. Which I'm definitely not using. I'm going to do a Watts link, so I can screw that up too. But anyways, so I can get these in. Just make sure that everything's square when these are in roughly. And then I will, I also wrote upper and lower on these things, so I would know where to stick them in. Here's the first set of links in, and because you might not be able to tell this on camera, that is level to the ground. So mission accomplished, at least on that. But yeah, not so much on the lengths. But yeah, let me show you putting in on the other side, and well, it's pretty neat. Let me turn the light the other way. All right, now you can see what I'm working on now. I'm just setting these in place because, like I said, I'm just mocking them up. Upper. We'll start with the upper. And we'll start with this bolt because it's a little harder to get it into this bracket. There we go. Make a fool of me. Okay, make a liar of me anyways. Okay, so you just start twisting this and it gets longer because the threads are in different orientations. So. And this is my way of making sure I got the pipe length right before I weld it. So there we go. There's that bolt. And now we'll do the lower one. There we go. And this one is a fair bit shorter than it probably needs to be. But anyways. And ta-da! So, yeah, that one, well, you know, I've got, okay. Anyways, yeah. I've got more threads on the bottom one than the top, but I think I'm within reason. Because I can always make the top a little bit longer or a little bit shorter to change the pinion angle. What I'm gonna do next is tack in probably 3 spots on each end, and then the car will be attached well enough that I can go back to this mock-up phase without glue painter's tape holding it together. It'll just be a little bit of weld, and then I'm gonna put the rear end on the jack, and we're gonna pull these ramps out from under the car, or under the tires. And the car is actually supported by the jack stands at this end. So we'll get the rear end on the jack, get it up off these ramps, take the ramps out, and we'll swing the rear end up and down through any kind of reasonable amount of travel and see what the pinion angle does. Make sure that I haven't completely screwed this up with those short tubes or the fact that they're, 15% different in length, something like that, 12%. Anyways, and if that all goes okay, then I'll finish welding them. If not, I'm going to have to redesign things. I got spare square tube. It's going to be ugly if I have to redesign things, but we'll see. We'll get there when we get there. we're going to put some anti-seize on these threads now. There we go. Now, I want to make sure that these ball joints are lined up like this. Actually, what I was thinking is I'm going to use some welding wire here. Let's see what I can do here. That long, and that long. All right, let's try that. Alright, now if I run this from there to there, and pull it tight and wrap it like that, it'll help keep these joints pulled together while I weld it. Still not a great weld. Let's see if I can do better on this side. Yeah, that's a hell of a tack. I may have gone a little overboard there. Oops. Well, that didn't work. Hold that in. Sheesh. Worst looking welds ever. Okay, there we go. Now, 87.75, so we're right around the 2-degree mark. We're bolted up. I don't have nuts on the bolts, but the bolts are in the holes. And the links are tack welded. So we're going to try and lower the suspension now. Actually, first we gotta go up. So we don't have a whole lot of room to go up, but we can get some. All right, so we can get the jack stands out. And I'm just gonna go ahead and go up as far up as, okay. That's as far up as it's gonna let me go. Let's check that angle now. 87.75. That's good. Let's get these ramps out from under the tires. And we'll lower them all the way down. And remember, the body's still lifted up. So this is probably maximum droop. Anyways, here we go. And, uh-oh, there we go. Oh, I got hung up on one side. Anyways, 86.65. So we had about a degree of change, but a degree in a good direction, and I can, center off that. I don't know if a degree is a problem, but I don't think a degree is very much. So this is as low as it can go, short of, you know, having some crazy high travel suspension. So yeah, let's bring it up. Now remember, I don't have a watt link in here yet, so my angle is now 86.65. We're nearing ride height, and we're at 87.35. Probably about 4 degrees, and that'll give me half a degree in either direction if I aim for 4 degrees. So I'll wet in. Here. We're at 87.6, 87.5. So that's 2.5 degrees there. Let's check that spot. We are at 87.6 still. Okay, so it likes going up more than it likes going down. I don't think I've bottomed out yet, so let's go some more. Well, bottomed out the driver's side, so let's go down a little bit. Okay, that's as high as it wants to go right now without clearancing other things. 87.6 still. So how far down can we go? So we are currently 7 inches off the ground. That was a very tight net hole. Okay, right here. Yeah, it's not sitting level. I'm more on the passenger side than the driver's side. $86.85. So this is pretty low. They're not quite on the ground with the car 6 inches up. So let's go all the way down. Oopsie. Didn't like that very much, did it? 86.7. So, yeah. This is 3.3 degrees. And all the way up, we had, what was it, 2.2? So, if I put it at 3.5, no, if I put it at 2 3/4, that would put it right in the middle of this. And it'd be the correct pinion angle plus or minus half a degree. I'm okay with that. All right, I got these all welded all the way around, so we're going to grind them flat now. You can see I flap disked the weld all flat, and then I put some primer over the bare metal and the whole tube really. I'm gonna paint them flat black, but I'll do that tomorrow. So this is my after work project today. That amount of time I spent with the flap disc grinding those welds on all 4 tubes, both ends, so 8 totally circular welds. It was a lot of work.